Derek here, Civic Punks, and I am at the GovInsiders Festival of Innovation. And I'm here with Manuel. How are you doing, Manuel?
Pretty good. It's always a pleasure to be in Singapore. Let's
be
honest.
That is true. Yeah, it is so much nicer than it is back in Canada right now. I left, it was minus 20 in Ottawa when I left, and I came in here and it was like plus 30 and...
Good choice.
Very humid. Gone through so many shirts today, but that's what we're here to talk about. Manuel, tell me about yourself.
I'm Manuel. I lead the Global Government Technology Center, and I love to talk about GovTech pretty much. This is the one thing I can do and what I'm doing all day.
Well, you know, you came to the right place. Civic Punks, we love our GovTech as well. But what I'm particularly excited to talk to you about is this term that people just keep throwing around everywhere, Agentic AI. And you wrote a fairly substantial paper about this a few months ago. So I thought you'd be a really good person to ask. So first question, what is Agentic AI?
That's very easy to explain. It's the hands and the brains. This is how I explain it. We have the large language models. That's pretty much the brains, right? And then we have this applied to workflows. So that's the hands. And by that we get the combination of software able to act autonomously and to finish tasks. And it's pretty much what it's about. So formally with Gen AI, we just had the brain. And now, as I said, like it's applied to a workflow, and that makes it very powerful because governments at the end are workflows, right? Rules, regulations, laws, this is all also pretty much codified workflows. And this is why there's a big fit between what Agentic AI can do and how it can solve problems or challenges in government.
So where my mind's going with this, and correct me if I'm wrong, is I'm picturing having my own little virtual minion that I can tell to do stuff. Is that accurate understanding of what Agentic AI is?
I would actually look at Agentic AI as digital co-workers, because I think that's a good idea of how to think about this. If you have civil servants, they will be joined by digital civil servants, and they are going to take over parts of their work. Not to take the work away, but there's a lot of work in the public sector, which is high volume, high impact, rather low complexity workflows. And this is where you can solve things with Agentic AI.
Okay, so if I'm working this out, that means that if I'm managing a team, in the future that team will be partly made up of AI team members. I mean, on one hand that sounds crazy, on the other hand that sounds really exciting. Okay, what can I do to prepare for this?
Start working with it. It's very simple. So we only will move forward if people start trying this out. That's the first thing. I think that's the most important thing. Secondly, and that's somehow countering what I just thought, just don't start things, but think through, as we call it, enablement layers that you have to work through, which is the governance in which Agentic AI is going to take place, which is the respective tech stack that you need, which is about cybersecurity. Like you creating new threat vectors with letting agents in, right? That's the org change. And this is how you're going to buy agents. So those are, as we call it, enablement layers in the very substantial paper that we wrote.
Yes.
Can find it there. And this is important to work through that, right? So as such, I would say like really do stuff, but think through the layers that surround a pilot or a use case.
So if I'm sort of peeling back what you're saying, on one hand, it's like go and find places where you can just play an experiment where there's low risk or no risk. But at the same time, start thinking about the broader conditions you need to actually scale out the experimentation in a place that could impact real people.
Exactly, yeah. So the trying out, that's from 0 to 1, right? That's from no software to actually agentic software, or like an agent. This got so cheap, and it's fun to do this, right? And I mean, it's really accessible. You can vibe code, I can vibe code. That didn't exist 6 months ago, a year ago. And I would really urge to try to play with the technology. But then the critical part is not getting from 0 to 1, but from 1 to 1,000. So having the system run in a live production environment, this is where it gets tricky, because this is where you have to design the governance, the tech, the rest of the infrastructure, right, cybersecurity around this. And I think the biggest challenge for governments, not anymore going from 0 to 1, but from 1 to 1,000 or 10,000 or a million.
So I want to take a step back for a second, because you threw out a word there that I'm starting to hear a lot more of. Vibe coding. What is vibe coding?
Vibe coding is if you don't write every single letter of the code manually, but you give prompts and you give tasks, and then the AI is coding for you.
So my first experience of this was actually building the website for Civic Punk. A good friend of mine, Olivia, showed me how to do this. She like disappeared for 30 minutes, came back, and she's like, here, I built you a website. Yeah. And I'm like, I didn't even know you could code. She's like, I can't. What she did is she used Replit, which is a AI agents platform, and literally just said, I want this website, this is what I want, here's some information. and it created the website, and then she passed it on to me, and now I'm working with it, and basically like, hey, can you add this? Can you take this away? And it's literally like talking to my own developer.
Exactly. But it happens in real time, right? It's not like
wild.
We still know this from a couple of years ago. We had a web developer and he said like, can you move the frame a little bit there? And then maybe you could like add text or change text your own, but then if you wanted to make other changes, this took time, right? And you normally needed a person to do that. And right now it's like one prompt away from you. So that's pretty fantastic.
It's wild to think about. So, okay, I want to go back to this report. So you put a ton of time into this, although not as much time as you put into the next report, which we'll get into in a second, but let's start with the first report. What is your goal with that first report? What do you hope people take away from it?
The fact that we can bring government in a position where they can actively drive the technological development. I think it happened too many times in the past decades that technology sort of happened reactively to governments. And I wouldn't want to let this happen with Agentic AI. So what we did with the vision paper is to really lay out everything that we sense government has to think about to be in a position to actively drive the development and thereby also drive where the technology is going to a certain extent.
So what do you hope is the thing people take away from the paper? If they can just take away one thing, what is that thing that you hope they take away?
That they have a holistic understanding of what they need to do first, but they also know that they start somewhere and how they can branch out from that.
So when we chatted about this yesterday, you were saying that that report, which is a quite extensive report, took a while to write, but that you have a second report that's taken significantly longer to write. Tell me about the second report that's coming out.
The second report happens in a slightly bigger constellation because like the first report, the vision paper, and that's me and 4 co-authors, that was pretty fast, we could move ahead quickly. The second report is written together with the World Economic Forum and Capgemini, big organizations, longer process, and what we did there is that we took all the activities of government and decoded this into 70 central functions.
70.
Exactly, 70. And by functions, I mean repeatable, universal, discrete workflows that happen all over government. So we went away from looking at government through the lenses of org charts or ministry or political responsibility, but we say like, what are the workflows that come up over and over again? And this is what we call functions. And we came up with 70 most important functions in government.
So, okay. Now, when we say government, are we talking national government, local government, any government? What's the scope?
Any government.
Okay, so I
because what's local, what's national, that varies from country to country, right? But the entire work of the public sector, stripped of the policy context, into the 70 most important workflows.
Oh wow, I'm interested. Okay.
Which is like something that didn't exist before, right? So the methodology that we applied, we had to build it from scratch. And there's no thinking around, decode government in its 70 most important workflows, but that's something that we came up with.
You also mentioned that you worked with Ukraine on this.
That's another project still.
Oh, that's a different report.
Exactly, yeah. With Ukraine, we walked through their implementation roadmap of putting the Agentic State into reality. So as you may know, the Ukraine is working very focused on getting from a digital state to the Agentic State. And for this, they have a roadmap, and they shared this with us. And then we could actually derive what are the steps, what are the decisions that they took, for what reason, how could this work potentially in another country. And this is also a piece of research that we hopefully get published soon.
Do you have any time, when can we expect these things? They sound, I want to read them now. So.
Yeah, I would say in the next 4 weeks.
Oh, wow, okay, that's soon.
Don't quote me on that one, but
this is being quoted, you heard it here?
It's
this is the official...
Put yourself under pressure to do stuff. No, I'm quite confident that we hopefully can.
Is that both of them, or just which one?
So the one with the 70 functions, that's mid of April, 22nd of April to be precise.
Okay, we have a date, official date?
22nd, 3rd, if everything goes well, fingers crossed. And the report on Ukraine earlier than that.
Okay, amazing, cool. Any final thoughts? What people should know about this?
I engage. This should be fun. This should be a huge opportunity for governments to rethink themselves, to become better. And I'd urge everybody to really get the hands dirty, do the vibe coding, experience the technology, and see how this could fit into your work.
And if they want to reach out to you, how can they find you?
Manuel Kilian on LinkedIn. Okay. That's the easiest thing. We're going to put it in the comments or something.
Yeah, I'll put it in the description.
Okay, great.
And hopefully you get flooded with people.
I hope so. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Manuel.
Thank you.